I'm about to share with you the 5 new secret tactics I used to scale this e-commerce brand right here to $2,719 per day in revenue just with Google Ads alone. And although this brand is in the home and kitchen accessories niche, these 5 tactics work regardless of the niche or industry your brand is in. So if you have been looking for a special few secret strategies or that breakthrough which can help scale your brand to the next level, you'll probably find it here. And before we go into the actual secret strategies, let's first understand this brand in detail. So this brand is a brand under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, and we began working with this brand on April 17th of 2024. In the beginning, things seemed very bleak for this brand. I mean, Google Ads results were essentially non-existent. There was not a lot of things going on. They were just spending a bunch of money with a lot of different campaigns, and there was no real strategy in place. During this time period from basically April 18th to today when I'm recording this video, which is May 14th, we have been able to scale this brand by 166% with a 5.64x ROAS. That's a 246% increase just selling kitchen accessories and kitchen related products. Now, the main reason why this brand even came to us during that time was because before that time period when we took over, this brand had little to no activity going on. I mean, activity in terms of results. They were spending money. As you can see, they spent $8,000 on this individual PMAX campaign. They were spending $1,100 here, $400 here. There were 3 different performance max campaigns running, and there was just too much going on. And as a result, their ROAS, their return on ad spend, was barely beyond a 1.63x. They were literally losing money for every dollar they spent, and there was just no direction for this brand. So the first thing we started doing for this brand was that we went with this campaign simplification approach. Now, what most brands do in terms of scaling, they add stuff. They add more campaign types, they add more PMAX, more standard shopping, etc., and they make things way too fancy. This is not what we do, especially for brands which are struggling. So what we did is when we came on board, when we started working with this brand, instead of adding more stuff, instead of adding more standard shopping, search, we decided to get rid of these other 3 PMAX campaigns, which were spending quite a lot of money during the initial time. And we basically diverted all of the products, all of the major things that were running within these campaigns, and we diverted it to this first major PMAX campaign right here. That's why this has barely spent $300 in the last 30 days or so. And this campaign simplification approach was done with one main goal in mind: make it easy for the algorithm to understand who our ideal customer is, who we're going after, so on and so forth. And this led us to the second big secret tactic which we implemented here, which allowed us to really move the needle, and that is to decrease restrictions. This is something most brands do, not just this brand right here, but what they do is they set arbitrary numbers for restrictions. For example, for this brand, during that time, they had an average target ROAS restriction of 300%. That didn't make any sense at all to us in the start because their average ROAS for that time period was barely crossing a 1.45x on the account level. So there's really no way the campaign was going to go out and get a 3x ROAS. And you want to be always honest with the algorithm. The algorithm works off of real numbers. If it sees a 1.92x ROAS, it's not going to go out and get you a 7x ROAS. It's not going to go out and get you a 10x ROAS just because that's the number you set. The restrictions here, they were keeping the gates to the traffic closed. And the moment we decrease restrictions is when the algorithm was free to basically open its floodgates and go out and let a lot of the extra traffic come in. And this proved to be beneficial because their conversion rate was fairly decent on the website side. Even their website was properly optimized, so we knew we had to take this risk, and we decided to drop these restrictions completely, which now let us scale not only the ROAS values but also the ad spend values. But this is something we do for a lot of the brands we handle as well under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year and you want to scale to the very next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But once we had kind of decreased restrictions, once things were going on the path we wanted them to go on, that's when we started by incorporating a few remarketing lists, which is the third major secret tactic here. Now, what most brands do is they create very, very simple remarketing lists within their accounts. Your Google Ads team might be doing this, your media buyer might be doing this, but if you go inside the audience manager, you'll notice that there's not two in-depth levels of remarketing lists created. And that's what we noticed here when we started as well. But the thing was, the brand had a lot of data coming in, a lot of traffic coming in from external traffic sources. They were very heavy on Facebook, on Instagram, so on and so forth. So understanding that, we used that to our advantage because they already had GA4 installed on the website. So we created these lists of visitors who had visited all the way back to 540 days, the maximum that Google allows, and created a few other lists such as product viewers, YouTube ads viewers, because they had some YouTube ads running in the back as well. And all of these others were just already there. But this really now allowed the algorithm to go deep into the database and pull out the different streams of traffic that had already visited the website to use it to make the campaign smarter. And one secret tactic that you can use along with this is to incorporate these remarketing lists on an observation basis within your campaigns. This lets the campaign and the algorithm as a whole observe the people within these lists, and then it can actually go out and find very similar people to that. But this was a real big game changer for this brand because the cold traffic, although it was doing well once we had launched this campaign, once we had improved the strategy, it was still not where we wanted it to be. So this was one of the biggest things that allowed us to really scale things to the next level. But that brought us directly to the fourth major tactic and secret that we incorporated here, which was we ditched the segregation. Now, most brands I work with, not just this brand, what they prefer to do is they prefer to segregate stuff, because I mean, that's also what I teach on my YouTube channel. You have to segregate based on collections, based on ROAS numbers, margins, etc. And that's true. You want to segregate it. But first of all, if you don't have too many products to begin with, and second, if you're not even getting that much results to begin with on Google, it's best not to segregate it in the beginning and rather go with the all-in-one approach, which is where exactly what we did right here, where there was one major performance max campaign strategy, a smart bidding based strategy going after shopping only, and that was our essential approach. What this allowed us to do was it allowed us to now let the algorithm test the products we have very quickly and very efficiently so that we could understand what works versus what doesn't. And once we figure that out, then we can start incorporating segregation later on down the line. Final major secret tactic that we used here to scale this brand to 2,700 per day in revenue profitably was to focus on the foundational improvements. Now, a lot of the time, what we do is we actually begin work with the foundation first, because foundation is the key to getting these campaigns to scale. That's just the way it works for any brand out there. However, for this brand, we wanted to take a little bit of a different approach because with the original data that was coming in, it was not the most accurate data, number one, but also that data was a bit skewed towards the wrong kind of user. So we waited it out until the last step, the last secret, to start now, once we had enough data and good data, improving the foundation. So things such as the product titles with proper SEO techniques, using the insight section as our main kind of alleyway to find better and bigger keywords to rank for. But from here, also incorporating better product feed strategies, better information within the feed as a whole, and making sure there's no policy violations, because although there's no major issues that this brand sells in terms of the product, there are still a few products which have problems with them, like these ones right here, which we're still working through. But the major thing that we are doing right now with the foundation is just improving the Google Merchant Center, adding reviews, promos, etc., to keep this momentum going, to really transition this brand from the simple kind of low quality brand which users originally had perceived it to be, to now something that's more higher quality with higher perceived value. The ultimate goal for any brand, not just this brand, is to change the appearance of how your brand looks within your customers' eyes. Is your brand worthy of only a 1.88x ROAS, or is it worthy of a 4.74x ROAS? The only way to make this transition is to start by focusing on the perceived value of your brand as a whole, which is done by focusing on the foundations, the campaign strategies, and so on and so forth. But with that, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year and you want to scale to multi-seven figures with Google Ads, go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on our newest Performance Max campaign strategies, which we're using for brands like these to scale these to multi-6, 7, even nowadays 8-figure levels.